It all started because I pointed out in a meeting that the intern's proposal had a flaw that would cost the company millions. He felt humiliated and threw a fit, telling the CEO, my fiancée, that he was going to quit. My fiancée, Rose, didn't hesitate. She stormed into my office to confront me. Couldn't you have told him privately? Leo's young and sensitive. Why did you have to embarrass him in front of everyone? Don't forget his father is a major shareholder. Now you have two choices. One, I give Leo a promotion and a raise, and you become his assistant. If you do that, I'll agree to finally go public with our relationship. Or two, you continue being this arrogant, and we break up. When I remained silent, she smirked triumphantly. I knew you wouldn't pass up the chance to make our relationship official. Now, you could just clear out your office for Leo, and then... But I cut her off, my voice calm. Sorry, I choose option 2, and I'm resigning. I wish you and Leo Harris a long and happy life together. May you have children soon. Mike, do you have any idea what you're saying? Rose shot up from her desk and rushed toward me, losing her composure for the first time I could remember. I repeated calmly, I am resigning, and we're over. With that, I ignored her and began to pack my personal things. I had been with the company since its inception and had used this office for years, so I had accumulated quite a bit. I packed my thermos and a small blanket into a box, then started sorting through my work documents. These were all projects I was currently managing, many of which we landed because the clients trusted me specifically, but I wouldn't be able to see them through. Rose stared intently at me, her voice turning icy. Mike, you're 34. It wasn't easy getting to the VP position. You know how tough the job market is out there. Are you really going to be this reckless? I didn't say a word. I just printed out my resignation letter and signed my name. Rose's frown deepened. Just then, the intern, Leo, walked over with a coffee in hand, shooting a cautious glance in my direction. Rose, is Mike upset with me? Is he trying to force me out by resigning? He asked, his eyes red and welling with tears. Please don't make things difficult. Mike is a company veteran. I'll just leave. Any hesitation in Rose's eyes vanished, replaced by pure annoyance with me. Mike, I gave you an out, and you're not taking it? Do you really think this company can't function without you? You want to resign? Fine. Your resignation is accepted. She snatched the letter from my desk, quickly signed it, and threw it back at me. You're no longer an employee here. Get your things and get out. A bitter feeling welled up inside me as I looked at her cold expression. Rose and I met in college. Back then, my family was poor, and I was focused on my studies, which made me a target for ridicule from some classmates. It was Rose who stood up for me time and again, who invited me to meals, who pursued me. She was always so gentle with me during those 4 years, and after graduation, we started this company together, weathering the hardest of times side by side. We promised we'd get married once the company was stable. But everything changed when Leo's father invested, became a major shareholder, and placed his son here as an intern. Leo's work ethic was terrible, and he made constant mistakes, but whenever I pointed them out, Rose would personally warn me not to bully the new guy. I would argue logically, always putting the company first, but she would repeatedly undermine me just to protect Leo. And now, simply because I mentioned his name in a meeting, she was using our relationship to force me out of my position. I guess I should have let go a long time ago. The moment I stepped out of the building, a light drizzle began to fall, and of course, I'd forgotten my umbrella. The cold rain hit my skin, chilling me to the bone. I tried to hail a cab, but realized I only had 50 cents in my account, not even enough for the fare. For years, I had given her my entire salary to manage, because she said we'd need to save for all the expenses after we got married. To keep me from being a spendthrift, I had to get her approval for even a $10 purchase. Yet, she was incredibly generous with Leo, just last week buying him a $300,000 supercar. The difference between being loved and not being loved was painfully clear. I managed a bitter smile and started the long walk home in the rain. When I got to the apartment I shared with Rose and opened the door, ready to change out of my wet clothes, I saw her in the kitchen, a gentle expression on her face as she stood behind Leo, tying an apron around his waist. Rose, you just stand there and look pretty. I guarantee you're going to love what I'm cooking tonight, Leo said. Oh, really? I have a very picky palate, you know, she replied. They flirted as if I wasn't even there, the atmosphere between them cozy and intimate. The moment Rose noticed me, her smile vanished. Leo, she said coolly, just make enough for the two of us. I'm sure someone is too proud to eat a home-cooked meal today. I knew she was taking a jab at me, but I ignored it and just bent down to take off my shoes. Rose frowned, tilting her chin up at me. Mike, since you're back, I assume you've realized you were in the wrong. Well, what are you waiting for? Go apologize to Leo and ask for his forgiveness. I can overlook what happened this morning. and I can still hold your position at the company for you. Her focus was entirely on Leo. She didn't even notice my clothes and hair were soaked from the rain, much less worry that I might get sick. Seeing her act so superior, I felt a chill. No matter how close two people once were, it was clear we had finally drifted apart. I still didn't answer, simply walking past her to get some clothes from the balcony. Rose, feeling slighted by my silence, was about to say something. Just then, Leo walked by with a bowl of soup and deliberately bumped into me, crying out in fake pain as he fell to the floor, spilling the hot soup all over himself. Ow, it's hot. Mike, I know you're mad at me, but you didn't have to do that, he cried, clutching his reddened hand as tears streamed down his face. This was his classic move for turning Rose against me. At work, he'd pretend to pull all-nighters and claim I was overworking him or splash water on himself and say I'd lost my temper. I usually couldn't be bothered to engage with his games, but this time, I wasn't going to let him win. He liked to claim I bullied him? Fine, I'd get him what he wanted. I grabbed a serving dish from the table, and before Leo could get up, dumped its contents all over him. Greasy sauce dripped from his hair. Leo shrieked, real tears now flying from his eyes. Rose rushed over, shoved me hard, and screamed, Mike, are you insane? Why are you always going after Leo? I'm so disappointed in you. I smirked. Disappointed? Good. That'll make it easier for us to never see each other again. Rose's face flushed with anger, leaving her speechless. But Leo was still sobbing, so she had no choice but to help him up and take him to the hospital. The front door slammed shut, and the apartment was finally quiet. I let out a long breath, feeling a weight I'd been carrying for years finally lift. Rose, we were well and truly over. With that thought, I pulled out my phone and called the head of HR at Apex Dynamics, the top firm in our industry. I'm calling about your company's offer, I said. I accept. Over the years, my performance had led to several private offers from major corporations. Apex Dynamics was one of them. They had reached out more than once, offering a salary and benefits package triple what I was making. But I had been completely devoted to Rose, turning down every offer to slave away for her company. And in the end, I was cast aside with nothing to show for it. It was time I started thinking about my own future. The HR manager sounded thrilled. Mr. Thompson, we're so glad you've decided to join us. Would you be free to come in tomorrow to sort out the paperwork? Not a problem, I said. After hanging up, I began packing my suitcase, ready to move out and cut all ties with Rose. While gathering my documents, I found a small, hand-carved jade sculpture I'd made for Rose tucked away in a corner. It was a birthday gift, and every single cut was a testament to my love and care for her. I remember how her eyes lit up when she first saw it, how she smiled, and said it was the most meaningful gift she'd ever received. When she saw all the little nicks on my hand from the carving tools, she'd been heartbroken, fetching the first aid kit to clean them and promising she would treasure the gift forever. But now, the sculpture was tossed in a corner collecting dust, while the beautiful wooden box she'd bought for it was overflowing with photos of her and Leo. There was a thick stack of them, spanning from spring to the dead of winter, from fields of flowers to landscapes of snow. The background always changed, but it was always the two of them. It was just like our relationship. Ever since Leo showed up, there hadn't been any room left for me in Rose's heart or her thoughts. I should have realized it sooner. Trying to win back someone who has already moved on, trying to salvage a relationship that has already spoiled, is a fool's errand. With that thought, I tossed the dusty jade carving into the trash. The carving was disposable, and so was the person it was for. After throwing it out, I went back to packing. It didn't take long, as I didn't have much. It was almost funny. I had lived in this apartment for 6 years, yet my belongings couldn't even fill a single small suitcase. Even so, with my things gone, the place felt noticeably colder and emptier. I grabbed my suitcase, called a cab, and went to the bachelor pad I'd bought before we moved in together. I had moved into her place to make things easier for her, so this apartment had been sitting empty ever since I renovated it. I pushed the door open. The apartment was decorated in the modern industrial style I'd always loved. Our shared apartment had been done entirely to her taste, from the paint on the walls to the placement of the furniture. Now, I didn't have to accommodate anyone. I could finally live exactly how I wanted. I could paint the walls any color I wanted, decorate however I saw fit. After unpacking, I was about to call a cleaning service when a call from Rose came through. I expected her to yell at me, but her tone was surprisingly mild. Mike, stop this nonsense. Leo is a good person. He's not going to hold what you did today against you. Get some rest this afternoon. Tomorrow, you'll go to the office and start as Leo's assistant, helping him oversee his projects. And in 3 days, we'll go get our marriage license and have the wedding. That should make you happy, right? The offer of marriage felt like a bitter joke. For years, I had wanted to set a date, but Rose always put it off, using the company's growth as an excuse. At the office, she insisted we keep our distance to avoid gossip. She never let me call her by her pet name at work, and she wouldn't even let me ride in her car. Not wanting to cause problems for her, I kept our relationship a secret for 6 years. All that time, I woke up early every single day to take the train to and from the office. I thought if I just held on, she would eventually be moved and agree to marry me. Now she was finally willing, but only for the sake of another man. I gave a sarcastic smile and was about to speak when I heard Leo's whiny, affected voice on the other end of the line. Forget it, Rose. If Mike becomes my assistant, he'll just target me more. I am scared. I can't compete with him. I'm not smart enough. Leo, don't you worry, Rose cooed. I'm here. Mike won't bully you again. She immediately started comforting him in a gentle, patient voice, as if he were her boyfriend, not me. I scowled in disgust and cut in. You want me to be his assistant? Is he even qualified? If you think Leo is so brilliant, why does he need an assistant at all? Surely he can handle the project on his own. Rose paused, then her voice filled with anger. Mike, are you trying to be difficult? I just agreed to marry you. What more do you want? I'm giving you a chance, and you're throwing it away. Don't you dare regret this. Then she hung up. I ignored the interruption and went back to arranging for a cleaning service. Later that evening, after the apartment was clean, I was relaxing on the couch and scrolling through industry news when a video call request from Leo popped up. When I answered, I saw him lounging in Rose's executive chair with his feet up on her desk, a smug look on his face as he panned the camera around her office. Hey Mike, Rose asked me to work late in her office tonight. She even brought me a glass of water. Ever get that kind of treatment? Rose was a notorious neat freak and hated anyone touching her things. I once saw her fire an employee on the spot just for entering her office to drop off a file without permission. She never even let me in there without her. It was clear Leo was the exception. Why I didn't respond? He continued gloating. Rose has already handed all of your projects over to me. I'm a new VP, taking over all your responsibilities. Looks like you've been cast aside. I laughed coldly. Is that right? Well, you'd better work really hard then. Try to run her company into the ground as fast as you can. Mike, you son of it. Leo started to yell, but I heard a door open on his end. The video call ended abruptly. I shook my head with a cynical smile. If Rose was really trusting Leo with all those projects, her company was doomed. The next morning, I went to Apex Dynamics for my meeting and agreed to start as soon as possible. On my way home, I heard 2 familiar voices nearby. Rose, look, there's some kind of event going on over there. It looks like fun. Let's go check it out. It was Rose and Leo. A local store was holding a couple's kissing contest on the sidewalk. The winners would get a new rice cooker. Leo was all excited, tugging on Rose's arm. I automatically assumed she'd say no. She always hated cheesy public events like that. But to my surprise, she just gave him an indulgent smile. All right, whatever you want. She and Leo walked onto the small stage hand in hand to sign up. When the host blew the whistle, Rose wrapped her arms around Leo's neck, her eyes filled with affection. The crowd, loving the drama, started chanting, "Kiss here, kiss here." Rose worked up her courage and gave Leo a quick, light kiss on the lips before pulling away with a shy smile, her face blushing a deep crimson. The crowd went wild, cheering for the new couple. They must be a new couple, right? You could just feel the love in the air. It's so sweet, someone said. They're so perfect together, a match made in heaven. Seeing other people this happy actually brings a tear to my eye. I hope they last forever. I gave a self-deprecating smirk. I suddenly remembered the time I'd asked Rose to take some photo booth pictures with me. She called it boring and lectured me about how we weren't kids anymore and shouldn't waste time on such childish things. And yet here she was, willing to kiss Leo in front of a crowd for a rice cooker. It wasn't that she found the act childish. She just found me childish. She didn't think I was worthy of it. I had no desire to stick around and watch their little show, so I turned to leave. But as I did, my eyes met hers. The moment she saw me, she froze, then immediately pulled away from Leo. Rose opened her mouth to say something, but Leo cut her off. Mike, what a coincidence. What are you doing here? You didn't follow us, did you? At his words, Rose's expression immediately soured. Mike, are you following me? She demanded. I replied calmly. I was just running an errand and happened to be in the area. Rose frowned. You quit your job. What errand could you possibly have? You're a grown man. Stop lying. It's pathetic. And who gave you the right to follow me? This is a complete invasion of my privacy. Mike, I can't believe you don't even have a basic level of trust in me. How am I supposed to marry you if you're like this? She was right in a way. In her mind, my entire life revolved around her and the company. She'd always acted like she was the one supporting me. If she had paid even the slightest bit of attention, she would have known I was far more capable than she gave me credit for, and that I'd given up incredible opportunities for her sake. Ich glänzte Herr Cooley. You and Leo should get married. You've already kissed, after all. It only seems right. Rose's face flushed, and she was left speechless. Leo, looking smug, fanned the flames. Mike, don't get the wrong idea. I just really wanted that prize, and Rose was just being nice and helping me out. Don't take it personally. I knew Leo was trying to get a rise out of me. In the past, I would have made a huge scene, demanding an explanation from Rose. But now I just gave him a cold look and sneered. Rose and I are finished. I don't care if you two just kiss or if you get married right here on the sidewalk. It has nothing to do with me. Leo seemed surprised that I wasn't angry. Rose's expression grew even darker. Mike, I already told you what happened. Why are you being so sarcastic? I didn't bother to respond. I just walked around her and left without a backward glance. As soon as I got home, my phone buzzed with a series of iMessages from Rose. Mike, why did you move your things out of the apartment? This tantrum has gone on long enough. I had moved out yesterday, but she was only just now noticing. That showed how much attention she paid to me. I didn't reply. A few moments later, I got several notifications that our shared accounts and family links on various apps had been disconnected. When things were good, we had linked everything, thinking of ourselves as an inseparable unit. We'd never unlinked them before, no matter how much we fought. But now she was severing all of them. I didn't need a guess to know how furious she was. It didn't matter to me anymore. For the next 2 days, I was busy getting started at my new job, and I didn't hear from Rose. She did, however, keep posting updates on social media with Leo. She changed our matching profile pictures to a solid black square, removed our couple's bio, and even replaced the Facebook cover photo of us with something else. I knew she was waiting for me to come crawling back, but I couldn't care less. On the evening of the 3rd day, I came home to find a cardboard box outside my door with "For Mike" written on it. I brought it inside and opened it. It was filled with mementos from my relationship with Rose. There was the love letter she wrote when she first asked me out in college, matching keychains she'd bought us, photos from our vacations, and even a napkin with her lipstick print from our first kiss. Looking at all these things brought back a flood of memories. But in the end, we had still grown apart. I took the items one by one, placed them in my fireplace, and lit a match, watching as the old objects and the memories attached to them went up in flames. As I watched the flames consume the last vestiges of our past, I felt surprisingly calm. Suddenly, my front door burst open and Rose rushed in, her face a mask of horror. She plunged her bare hands into the fire to snatch out the burning photos, slapping at the embers and crying out in a sharp, panicked voice. Mike, what are you doing? Why would you burn all this? It took her a moment to beat out all the flames, and her pale hands were already blistering from the heat. With tears in her eyes, she glared at me. Mike, have you forgotten what these things mean to us? How about you just burn them? I sent them here because I wanted you to. She knew I was sentimental. She sent the box hoping it would make me remember the good times and forgive her, all for the sake of our history. It was her typical way of offering an olive branch, proud and indirect. In the past, I would have taken the hint immediately, compromised, and forgiven her. But I was tired, so tired of always being the one to placate her. This time, I wasn't going to play her game. I wasn't going to take the out she was offering. I didn't even look up. Didn't you send these things over for me to get rid of? I asked calmly. There was no point in keeping them, so burning them seemed like the best option. Rose stared at me, incredulous, as if she couldn't believe how calm I was. After a long silence, she finally tried to explain. Mike, all right, don't be angry anymore. I admit you were right to point out Leo's mistake at the company. You were thinking of the big picture. I only asked you to apologize because he's Mr. Harris's son. I know I hurt you, and I'm sorry, okay? You can come back as VP at the same level as Leo. Just try not to get involved in his project from now on. That should work, right? I looked at her in silence, finding the whole situation laughable. Her favoritism toward Leo extended far beyond the office. I remember when I had a terrible flu and was stuck in bed, needing her to look after me. But she left me alone at home to go do something for him, completely ignoring my calls. On our 6th anniversary, just because Leo mentioned he wanted to see fireworks, she bought out the entire city supply and put on a private show for him, while I sat at home alone, staring at the cold dinner I'd made until the sun came up. It seemed she'd told these lies so many times she'd started to believe them herself. I didn't bother pointing out her hypocrisy. When I didn't respond, she added, but there's one condition. Before you come back, I need you to apologize to Leo. You to get physical with him after all. As long as he forgives you, You can have your job back. At that, I couldn't help but laugh. Rose, you have an incredibly high opinion of yourself. Did I ever say I wanted to come back and make me apologize to Leo? Frankly, he's not worth my breath. My words wiped the composure from her face. But she quickly remembered why she was there and pulled a wedding invitation from her purse. Our names were printed on it in elegant script. I stared at her, confused, wondering what new game this was. Rose sighed, as if exasperated. Mike, stop this. Look, these are our wedding invitations. I've already booked the venue in Chicago, ordered the favors, and sent out the invites. I'm keeping my promise to you. In 3 days, we'll have our wedding and finally announce our relationship to the world. Now, are you satisfied? We've been together for years. She'd had countless opportunities to marry me, to make us official, but she only chose to do it now, after I had completely given up on her. And I no longer cared. Before I could refuse, she shoved the invitation into my hand. Get yourself ready. I'll pick you up in 3 days. And with that, she turned and left. But she was in for a disappointment, because in 3 days, I was scheduled to start at my new job. This time, I wasn't going to sacrifice my career for Rose. As soon as she left, I got a text from Leo. Mike, I heard Rose is planning a wedding with you. Don't get too cocky. As long as I'm around, that wedding is never going to happen. You just wait and see. It didn't take long for me to figure out exactly what he meant. 3 days later, I was dressed in a suit, ready to head to Apex Dynamics for my first day. As I opened my door, I found Rose standing there. She was wearing a beautiful dress, her makeup perfectly done. She had clearly gone all out for the wedding. Seeing me in a suit, she assumed I was ready for the ceremony and nodded in satisfaction. Since you're ready, let's go. The guests have already arrived. They're just waiting for us, she said, reaching for my hand. I pulled away as if her touch was repulsive, then took a wet wipe from my pocket and cleaned my hand. Rose's face fell. Mike, what's that supposed to mean? Are you disgusted by me? I'm just a germaphobe, I said flatly. The air was thick with tension when her phone rang. I couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but her expression grew grave, and she looked at me with a troubled expression. Mike, Leo, he accidentally fell down the stairs. It sounds pretty serious. I have to take him to the hospital. I don't think I can drive you to the venue. Leo again. Of course. When forced to choose between me and Leo, she would always choose Leo. This time, however, I felt no sadness at all. In fact, his call couldn't have come at a better time. I was due at Apex Dynamics at 10, and it was already 9:30. Any longer, and I'd be late. With that in mind, I looked at Rose calmly. Then what are you waiting for? I urged. You should get him to the hospital. It could be serious. She looked at me, clearly shocked by my reaction. In the past, a stunt like this would have sent me into a rage. But now, not only was I not making a scene, I was calmly telling her to go to him. Rose stared at me for a moment, but didn't have time to dwell on it. Okay, you take a cab to the venue. I'll get there as soon as I'm done dealing with this. With that, she hurried off. This time, I didn't stand there waiting for her like I always used to. After she was gone, I hailed my own cab and headed for Apex Dynamics. My phone buzzed incessantly the entire ride. I looked down and saw a stream of taunting messages from Leo. He sent photos of Rose gently tucking him into a hospital bed, along with a message explaining that she had paid a fortune to have every specialist in the hospital consult on the tiny, fingernail-sized scratch on his leg. Mike, did you know Rose was so worried about me, she called in every specialist in Chicago? Has she ever done that for you? What does it matter that you were with her for 6 years? In the end, I still won. In Rose's heart, I'm the one who's most important. All I have to do is say the word, and she'll drop anything for me, even her own wedding. This was hardly the first time Leo had sent me messages like this. In the past, it would have sent me into an emotional tailspin. Now it just seemed pathetic. I couldn't be bothered to reply, so I just turned off my screen. When I arrived at Apex Dynamics, the HR manager showed me to my new office. I just sat down when my phone rang. It was Rose. The second I answered, her furious voice filled my ear. Mike, the wedding planner just called me. He said you never showed up. What the hell is going on? You promised me you'd be there. How could you just not show up? Is this because I took Leo to the hospital? I thought you said you didn't care. I actually thought you were finally being mature, but I guess you were just faking it. Mike, you haven't changed one bit. In the face of her accusations, my voice was perfectly calm. Rose, I never promised I would be at any wedding. Besides, we broke up. Why would we be getting married? She clearly never imagined I would actually turn down her offer of marriage. After all, I had once been desperate to marry her. It was my birthday, wish year after year. She was so sure that I couldn't live without her. In her mind, our relationship had been unequal for a long time. She was the CEO, and I was just some guy who depended on her. Without her, I would be nothing. After a moment of silence, her voice turned cold. Mike, I've already invited everyone. If you don't show up, what are our friends and family going to think of me? I'm ordering you to go to that venue right now and explain this to our guests. If you don't, we are finished for good. Then, I heard Leo's fake concerned voice in the background. Mike, this is a really important day. You shouldn't be throwing a fit like this. How can there be a wedding without a groom? You're embarrassing Rose. Rose, don't worry about me. I'll be fine on my own. Your wedding with Mike is what's important. Seeing him start his manipulative act again, I cut him off. Since you're so concerned, why don't you be the groom and save the day? You two seem more like a couple than we ever did, anyway. Rose exploded. Mike, do you have any idea what you're saying? You. Before she could finish, I hung up. Later, I heard from a mutual friend that with neither the bride nor the groom present, Rose was forced to cancel the whole thing and offer a humiliating apology to all the guests. The incident ruined her reputation, making her the butt of every joke among her friends and family. Since I had already told my friends what was going on, the only guests who showed up were hers. So she was the only one who ended up looking like a fool. I came out of it unscathed. After that day, Rose developed a deep-seated hatred for me, bombarding me with calls and texts blaming me for her public humiliation. Mike, this is all your fault. I'm too embarrassed to even show my face. Do you have any idea what my relatives are saying about me? They're calling me damaged goods that got left at the altar. You went too far this time. I'm not going to forgive you until you show me you're truly sorry. By truly sorry, she meant landing a multi-million-dollar contract for the company or getting her some extravagant surprise. In the past, whenever we fought, I would smooth things over by closing a huge deal for her company. I'd also pull every string I could to get her some custom piece of jewelry or limited edition item she wanted, just to make her happy. So, she expected me to do the same now. Looking back, I realized I'd been a fool, completely blinded by love. It was a waste. I didn't reply, leaving her messages on read. That only made her more persistent, and she started spamming my phone. Mike, why aren't you answering? What's with leaving me on read? I know you're seeing these. Stop ignoring me and say something. Answer me. But she used to ignore my messages for days at a time. Whenever I complained about it, she'd accuse me of being dramatic and starting a fight. How come she couldn't handle it when the tables were turned? I was just giving her a taste of her own medicine. Apparently, she could only feel the pain when she was the one getting stabbed. I was tired of the drama, so I blocked her number and deleted her contact. In a rage, she tried to get me blacklisted throughout the industry, hoping to destroy my career. But I didn't care. She had no idea I'd already landed a new job. I thought that would be the end of it, that we'd never see each other again, but fate had other plans. One morning, as I was walking into the office building, I saw Rose and Leo approaching, laughing and chatting together. Leo, if you do a good job on this project and close the deal, I'll see about getting you a promotion, she was saying. Rose, you're the best, he replied. Just then, she spotted me, and her smile vanished. Mike, what are you doing here? Leo gave me a smug, knowing look. Isn't it obvious, Rose? He was probably too embarrassed to come to the office, so he tracked you down here to beg for his job back. The idea seemed to click for Rose. Her expression remained cold, but it softened slightly. What? Couldn't find another job. Hit a few dead ends, and now you regret it. So you follow me here? Mike, honestly, I gave you a chance, and not only did you throw it in my face, you blocked my number. And now you're here, harassing me. You're becoming completely delusional. Actually, if you want to come back, it's not out of the question. But you'd have to start over as an intern, and you'd have to apologize to Leo first. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about. She lifted her chin, slipping back into her role as the proud, imperious CEO. Leo looked at me with triumph in his eyes, but put on a show of being magnanimous. Oh, it's all right. As long as Mike promises not to give me a hard time at the office, I'm sure we can all work together as colleagues. Rose looked at Leo with admiration. Leo, you're just too kind. People will take advantage of that, you know? You'll get hurt if you're not careful. Then she turned her icy gaze on me. Leo is willing to let it go because he's a good person, but that doesn't mean you're off the hook. You still have to apologize. You poured that dish all over him. He says his face still hurts. Getting physical is crossing a line. I glanced at Leo's perfectly unblemished face and had to stop myself from laughing. Rose was truly gifted at lying with a straight face. There was a time when she used to protect me just as fiercely. She was still playing the part of the mother hen, spreading her wings to shield her favorite. Only now, that favorite was Leo. When I didn't move, she shot me a cold, commanding look. What are you waiting for? Get over here and apologize. Do you want her job back or not? I watched their little performance, completely exasperated. Who said I was going to apologize? And I have no intention of coming back to your company. Now if you'll excuse me, you're blocking my way. Mike, have you had your fun? Rose demanded, her face a mask of disappointment. I'm being generous enough to offer you your job back. What more could you possibly want? Leo, however, looked at me as if he had me all figured out. Oh, I get it, he said smugly. He's just upset because he thinks I stole his job and his projects. But Rose, he's the one who walked out. Someone had to take over. I didn't realize he was so petty. Maybe I should just give him the position back. He's probably better suited for it anyway. Before Leo could finish his fake humble speech, Rose cut him off. Leo, don't sell yourself short. You absolutely deserve that position. She then looked at me with even more disgust, as if my refusal to back down was some kind of outrageous imposition. I honestly couldn't understand it. How could someone with Leo's incompetence be so confident? And wasn't Rose worried he'd screw something up? But then, I'd already quit, and we'd broken up. It wasn't my problem anymore. When that day came, I hoped she'd still be smiling. I shook my head, said nothing, and turned to leave. Mike, I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Stop right there. Rose started to yell, but was cut off by her phone ringing. She answered it quickly. It wasn't on speaker, but I could still hear her assistant's panicked voice on the other end. Rose, it's an emergency. The proposal we submitted yesterday had a major error. It's caused a huge loss for the client, and now they're threatening to sue. Rose's face went pale. What? Who was in charge of that project? Her assistant hesitated before stammering. The project lead. It was Leo Harris. In an instant, Rose's expression changed, and she shot a sharp, furious look at Leo. He flinched and took a step back. Our Rose, there must be some kind of misunderstanding, he stammered, then pointed a finger at me. I took all these projects over for Mike. He's responsible too. Mike, don't think you can just quit and leave me with your mess. To prove his innocence, Leo started playing the victim, his voice cracking as he spoke to Rose. Rose, I only just took over his projects. He must have set me up. Don't you trust me? He pleaded. Seeing his pathetic act, the suspicion in Rose's eyes melted away, replaced by softness. She shot me a frown, then said gently to Leo, Okay, let's go back to the office and sort this out. Of course I believe you. And if Mike is behind this, I'll make sure he pays for it. She gave me one last, long look before turning to leave. As Leo followed her out, he shot me a triumphant smirk. See that, Mike? No matter what happens, she'll always believe me. I walked right past him and got on the elevator. That afternoon, I heard from a former colleague what had happened at Rose's company. Since I had always managed that client's projects, they had a high level of trust in our work and hadn't scrutinized the proposal. But with Leo in charge, the project was riddled with errors, leading to a massive financial loss for the client. Now the client was demanding answers. When they found out the project lead had been switched without their knowledge, they were furious and threatened to sue. Rose was in a complete panic. My old colleague overheard Leo in her office, saying, Rose, I had no idea such a small mistake could cause such a huge problem. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. What should we do? I can go apologize to them. Rose, please don't ignore me. I am heartbroken. My friend had secretly recorded the conversation on his phone as he walked past her office. When Rose realized that Leo was truly at fault and that his mistakes were basic, amateur-level errors, she completely lost it. For the first time ever, she threw the rejected proposal right in his face in front of everyone. Leo started his usual crying routine, but this time, Rose wasn't moved. She just turned and walked back in her office. He followed her in, apologizing profusely, but she wasn't having it. In the past, whenever I caught his mistakes and fixed them before they could cause any damage, Rose would tell me it wasn't a big deal and that I needed to be more forgiving. But now that real money was on the line, she wasn't telling anyone to be generous. She was just furious that Leo couldn't handle the simplest tasks. Leo, when Mike used to criticize your work ethic, I defended you, she yelled. I had no idea you were this incompetent. Get out. Leo, who had never been spoken to like that by her, felt his pride sting, and he stormed out of the office. That's where the recording ended. I guess you could call it karma. I thought that would be the end of my story with Rose, but I was naive. One evening, I got home from work, and as I opened my apartment door, I froze. Rose? What are you doing here? She was sitting on my couch. When she saw me, she stood up and walked toward me. Mike, you're home. Her voice was so polite, for a second I almost didn't recognize her. I just grunted in response. What are you doing here? And how did you get in? This apartment was my property from before we were together. I had never given her a key. Seeing how cold I was, a flicker of disappointment crossed her face. I called a locksmith, she admitted. After I sat down, she sat next to me. Mike, she began softly, I'm sure you've heard what's happening with the company. I heard you have a good relationship with the project head at the client's firm. Could you possibly reach out to him, ask him to go easy on us, and not take this to court? I've looked into it, and it was all Leo's fault, she said, her voice heavy with regret. You were always telling me he was careless, that you were trying to mitigate the risk for the company, and I accuse you of being too harsh, of hurting his pride. I never imagined he was this incompetent. It was a miracle. This was the first time I'd ever heard Rose say a negative word about Leo. It didn't take me long to figure out her angle. She wanted me to mediate with the client to save her from the financial fallout. But my relationship with him was purely professional. He respected me because I was meticulous and responsible. Now, thanks to Leo's unprofessional work, his company had lost money and its reputation had taken a hit. Even if I could influence his decision, I wasn't about to risk the professional reputation I'd spent years building just to clean up Leo's mess. Sorry, I can't help you, I said flatly. Rose grew anxious and reached for my hand. Mike, I'm not asking you as your former boss. I'm asking you as your girlfriend. We've been together for so many years. The company is in trouble. Why won't you help me? She asked, her eyes welling up with tears. I pushed her hand away. Rose, have you forgotten? We broke up. She was taken aback, and it was a moment before she could speak. Mike, she said, her voice hoarse, I thought we were just taking a break. You were serious about that? She looked at me, disappointed. I never really intended to fire you. And yes, I favored Leo, but only because of his father. There was nothing romantic between us. Why do you have to be so difficult about this? I almost laughed. Rose, I said suddenly, do you remember the promises you made when we first started this company? She said we'd get married as soon as the business was stable. She said she'd never marry anyone but me. But what happened? She refused to go public, refused to acknowledge me as her boyfriend, and refused to get married. If I had been the petty one, we would have been over years ago. Rose fell silent. She looked at me, her face filled with guilt. She opened her mouth as if to explain, but seemed to realize that any excuse would sound hollow. After a long pause, she said in a raspy voice, Mike, just help me this one time. We can get married right away, okay? My voice was cold. Rose, you need to leave. You're not welcome here. If you don't, I'm calling the police and reporting you for breaking and entering. Seeing that I was serious, she finally, reluctantly, left. The door closed, and I was alone again. I couldn't understand how two people who were once so close could have ended up like this. But there was no going back. 2 days later, I heard that Rose had paid the damages to the client. She also demoted Leo back to an intern. He tried several times to get back in her good graces, but she remained distant. It wasn't long before her company was facing another lawsuit. It turned out that every single project Leo had touched was a complete disaster. One partner after another showed up at her office, demanding to terminate their contracts and be compensated 10 times their investment. The scandal rocked the industry, and several pending deals fell through. The shareholders called an emergency meeting, led by Leo's father, who stood in the middle of the office and screamed at Rose for a full 10 minutes in front of all her employees. Then they all went into the conference room for a formal reprimand. Through it all, Rose never once got the chance to explain that it was his son, Leo, who had caused all the problems. And Leo, seeing his father there, didn't dare say a word, taking no responsibility whatsoever. For someone as proud as Rose, it was the first time she had ever been so humiliated, and the person she had protected so fiercely just cowered like a coward. Finally, one of the other senior employees couldn't take it anymore and explained what had really happened, bringing the spectacle to an end. In the end, the financial hole was too deep. Leo's father and several other shareholders pulled their funding, leaving Rose to deal with the mess. My former colleagues told me all this over iMessage. I felt a twinge of sorrow for what the company had become, but it was no longer my concern. I never expected what came next. For the next few days, Rose launched a full-scale campaign to win me back. She started showing up at my apartment with home-cooked meals and would wait for me outside my office building with flowers and other surprises. Her face was a mask of regret. Mike, I'm so sorry. I was wrong about him. My judgment was terrible. Can we please get back together? The company and I, we really can't make it without you. Oh, and here, this is all the salary I was holding for you over the years. It's all yours. Please just come back. I took the money, but I didn't accept her apology. Rose, don't waste your time. We're broken up. Instead of spending your energy on me, you should be figuring out how to save your company. After I rejected her for what felt like the 10th time, she walked away, clutching the flowers, a dejected look on her face. The next day, she sent me a text. Mike, I was cooking and hot oil splashed all over me. Can you please come take me to the hospital? I replied, you should call Leo. She replied instantly, her voice cracking. Mike, Leo and I had a huge fight. You're the only person I can call. You wouldn't just leave me here to suffer, would you? After a moment's hesitation, I decided to go. When I got to her place, I saw that the terrible burn was just a small blister on her finger. She had lied to me, but since I was already there, I found her first aid kit and put a bandage on it for her. As I turned to leave, she wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. "Mike, I knew you still cared about me," she whispered. I pushed her away. "Don't flatter yourself," I said coldly. "I charge for house calls. That'll be $200. Cash or Venmo." Gritting her teeth, she handed me the cash, then grabbed my arm again, not ready to give up. "Mike, are you really going to be this cruel? Won't you give me just one more chance?" I pulled my arm free and walked away. As I left, I didn't miss the cold, dark look that flashed in her eyes. Sure enough, a few days later, she made me the subject of a viral hate campaign. Rose posted a long thread on Twitter, completely twisting the truth and slinging mud in my direction. She called me a traitor, claiming that after she fired me, I had stolen company secrets out of spite, causing the company to suffer catastrophic losses. She painted me as a villain deserving of the worst punishment. To make her story more convincing, she attached a video clip at the end of her post. When I played it, I froze. It was security footage from her apartment building from the day I'd gone over. The audio had been removed, and the clips were edited together. All anyone could see was me going into her apartment, and then leaving a short time later looking flustered. It was edited to make me look like a thief, guilty, and escaping the scene of the crime. The pieces started to click into place in my mind. No wonder she had lured me to her apartment that day. I had been confused at the time. Rose was always so rational, not the type to lose her head over a relationship. It made no sense that she would trick me into coming over just because she missed me, especially when her company was in crisis and she was overwhelmed. It had all been a setup to frame me. Her Twitter thread went viral almost instantly. The replies were a firestorm of hate directed at me, with everyone expressing their sympathy for poor, betrayed Rose. I heard this guy was her fiancé. That's horrible, being betrayed like that. This guy sounds like a real piece of work. He bullies an intern, and when his fiancé stands up for the kid, he quits in a huff. Then he uses her trust to steal from her and ruin her company. This backstabbing scumbag should be blacklisted from the entire industry. She needs to sue him, make him pay for the damages, and let him rot in prison. The online mob was ready to tear me and my entire family history apart. I had hoped Rose and I could part ways amicably, but I never imagined she was this kind of person. She had become a stranger to me. She was trying to utterly destroy my career. Just then, my phone rang. It was Rose. "Mike, see that you're trending on Twitter? Consider it a little lesson. You've had it too easy for too long with me protecting you. You never had to face any real hardship, and it's made you arrogant and reckless. But I'm calling to give you a chance to make things right. All you have to do is get back together with me and come back to the company, and I'll take down the posts and clear your name. If you don't, I have plenty of other ways to make you behave." I refused without a second thought. "Rose, I believe I've made myself perfectly clear. Don't call me again. It doesn't matter how many times you ask. The answer will always be no. I'm not getting back together with you." Then I hung up. The next day, I was served with a lawsuit from Rose. When my new boss at Apex Dynamics heard what was happening, he offered to get the company's legal team involved, but I politely declined. "Sir, I appreciate the offer, but this is something I need to handle myself." In court, Leo was there too, walking an arm in arm with Rose. As they passed me, he leaned in and whispered, "You think you can win against me? You're not even in my league. Did you really think Rose and I had a falling out? We're better than ever. In fact, smearing you online was my idea. It was the only way to distract from the real problems and save the company. This time, you can just wait to be publicly ruined and sued into bankruptcy." So, they had never even had a fight. It was all an elaborate act designed to make me the scapegoat for their failures. I shot a cold, disappointed look at Rose. When Rose was just starting her career, someone tried to ruin her with false rumors. I was the one who worked tirelessly, gathering evidence to clear her name. She always claimed to despise such dirty tactics. Yet here she was, the woman I thought was so principled, lying and framing me, all for Leo. The kind, wonderful woman I remembered was gone, replaced by this rotten version of herself. Right before the hearing began, I got one last text from her. "Mike, I'm giving you one final chance. Get back together with me, come back to the company, and I'll drop the lawsuit. It's the best option for both of us." She wanted me to come back and be her workhorse again? Not a chance. I was about to text back when Leo preemptively handed a folder of evidence to the judge. He even started a live stream of the hearing. The chat was instantly flooded with comments, all cursing me and wishing me the worst. After reviewing the evidence, the judge looked at me with disdain. "Mr. Thompson, Ms. Miller and Mr. Harris accuse you of corporate espionage, resulting in severe financial damages to their company. How you plead?" In the face of it all, I simply smiled. For a moment, everyone in the courtroom and everyone watching the live stream thought I had lost my mind. Leo sneered. "What are you smiling about, Mike? Finally realized you're cornered and decided to plead insanity." Rose just snorted. The last struggles of a dying man. But they didn't know that they were the ones whose luck had just run out, not me. Ignoring the strange looks from everyone, I took out my phone and played a recording for the court. "Your Honor," I said, "before you ask for my plea, I think you should hear this." The moment the recording started playing, both Leo and Rose froze, the color draining from their faces. It was the complete, unedited audio from the day I went to Rose's apartment. I had a strange feeling when she sent me that text, so I'd been prepared. Just in case, I had started a voice memo on my phone before I went inside. I recorded our entire conversation. Thank God I did, or I would have had no way to defend myself. Rose stared at me, completely shocked that I had turned the tables on her. "You recorded me?" "Mike, you actually recorded our conversation. Underestimated you. I never knew you were so manipulative." I found her hypocrisy amusing. "So, it's okay for you to use a doctored security video to frame me, but it's manipulative for me to record the actual conversation to prove my innocence?" I shot back. "Rose, your double standards are incredible." My words left her speechless, her face flushing with anger and embarrassment. Once the recording played out, everyone in the courtroom turned to look at Rose and Leo with contempt. The livestream chat completely flipped as viewers who had been defending them realized they'd been duped and turned on them with a vengeance. So we were all just played for fools by this trashy couple. What a horrible person. She ignored good advice, coddled that in turn, and now that her company is failing, she tries to blame it all on her ex. Disgusting. Reading the comments, Rose and Leo's faces turned a deep shade of crimson, their expressions mortified. I seized the opportunity to file a countersuit for defamation. With the recording as irrefutable evidence, the judge found them guilty and ordered them to pay me $200,000 in damages for emotional distress. The story exploded online, and the negative publicity began to take a serious toll on Rose's company. As we were leaving the courthouse, Rose shot me a hateful look. "Mike, all I wanted was to get back together with you. Did you have to make such a huge scene?" I didn't even bother to look at her. "I told you," I said coldly. "It's not going to happen." Rose's voice rose in frustration. "Is this all because of Leo? You're a grown man. Why are you so obsessed with him?" "I told you, I was only nice to him because of his father. Why do you have to be so aggressive about it?" Leo, looking smug, added fuel to the fire. "Mike, you should just stop talking. You really went too far this time. If it were me, I would never make Rose this upset." I had to laugh. Had he completely forgotten that he was the sole reason her company was in this mess? I said calmly, "Since you're so concerned about her, you two should just be together." Rose's face flushed with rage. "Mike, you really think I wouldn't?" With that, she grabbed Leo's hand and laced her fingers through his. "Fine, as you wish. From now on, Leo is my boyfriend. And as for you, Mike, you've crossed me, and you're going to pay for it. I'm going to make you realize that leaving me was the worst mistake of your life. You will regret this." I laughed to myself. Regret? Not a chance. Leaving Rose was the best thing that had ever happened to me. It was a liberation. I could finally be myself again, live my life for me. I didn't answer her. I just turned and walked away. After that, I put Rose and Leo out of my mind completely and threw myself into my work, determined to prove my worth. Thanks to my efforts and the great team at Apex Dynamics, the company thrived, landing several massive, 9-figure contracts and reaching new heights of success. As for Rose, after the courtroom disaster, both she and Leo faced a massive public backlash. They were relentlessly attacked online by angry netizens. Her company suffered as well. People organized boycotts of her products and filled the internet with negative press. Her company was already on shaky ground, but now its reputation was in tatters. Their funding dried up, their stock price plummeted, and a sense of panic set in among the employees. I heard all of this from my old colleagues. I assumed that at this rate, her company would be bankrupt within months. But to my shock, with Leo apparently at the helm, the company made a miraculous recovery. With the business turning around, Leo got back in his father's good graces. Mr. Harris reinvested, and soon, Rose's company was thriving again. Meanwhile, Rose and Leo made their relationship official. They held a press conference to announce it. She formally named him Executive VP and even gave him half the company's shares. These were all things she had never once offered me. She was really giving him everything, all her support and affection. After their announcement, Rose's social media became a constant stream of gushing posts and intimate photos of her and Leo. She even got a new number just to text me. Mike, I bet you never saw this coming. Not only did my company not go bankrupt, it's more successful than ever. Even if you begged me to come back now, I wouldn't let you. You really missed out. Don't think for a second we needed you. We have Leo, and he's far more capable than you ever were. Almost immediately, a text from Leo followed. Mike, so what if you win in court? I'm the one who's winning at life. You must be so mad right now. But what can you do? You're just not as clever as I am. I read their taunting messages, completely unfazed. Something about the situation felt off. Leo was an idiot who hadn't even finished high school. He knew nothing about business management. How could he possibly have turned a failing company around? I hired a private investigator to look into it. And sure enough, he found something. I gathered the files, ready to send them to Rose, but then I stopped. We weren't together anymore. Her fate was no longer my concern. Besides, even if I sent her the proof, she wouldn't believe me. She'd just accuse me of being jealous and forging the evidence to frame Leo. She didn't trust me, so why should I bother getting involved? I shook my head, put the file in my desk drawer, and decided to let them deal with their own mess. Just then, my boss called and asked me to represent Apex Dynamics at a major bidding conference. I agreed and headed to the convention center. As luck would have it, the moment I walked into the hall, I saw two familiar faces. It was none other than Rose and Leo. Rose was in a stunning burgundy evening gown, and Leo was wearing a white suit and gold-rimmed glasses, his hair slicked back, trying to look sophisticated. The red and white of their outfits complemented each other, and they turned heads as they walked in. Look, it's CEO Miller and VP Harris. Aren't they a gorgeous couple? A perfect match. I heard their company was on the verge of bankruptcy, but then he came in and turned everything around. I wonder how he did it. Although the court case had damaged their reputation, the company's miraculous turnaround had become something of an industry legend, winning them back some goodwill. When Rose saw me, she sneered. Mike, what are you doing here? Did you follow us again? I haven't seen you in a while. You look like you've fallen on hard times, Leo added with a smirk. Rose, it's sad enough that he can't find a job. He must be truly desperate to have tracked you down here. Don't rub salt in the wound. You'll make him feel even worse. At that, Rose's mood seemed to lift. So, you've hit rock bottom and you came all this way to beg for my forgiveness? Mike, you were so defiant before. What happened? Regretting your choices already? Too bad. It's too late. Even if you got on your knees and begged, I wouldn't take you back. You've run out of chances. You had your chance, and you blew it. You deserve everything that's happened to you. They stood there, looking down on me, their taunts echoing in my ears. Their arrogance was so absurd, I had to laugh. Rose, stop being so narcissistic. I cut in. I'm not here for you. I'm here representing my company at the bidding conference. They exchanged a look, then burst out laughing, their faces masks of disbelief. You? A jobless loser who can't even find work. And you're claiming to be a company representative? Who do you think you're fooling? Rose scoffed. Mike, it's only been a few weeks. How did you become such a pathological liar? Mike, I know you have a lot of pride, Leo added, but when you can't even afford to eat, there's no point in putting on a brave face. Rose has a soft heart. If you just swallow your pride and give her a sincere apology, I'm sure she'd forgive you. She might even be able to find a job for you. Rose crossed her arms. The only opening we have right now is for a janitor. If you want to come back, that's all I can offer. Leo looked smug, but feigned concern. Mike, what are you waiting for? You should thank her. When I didn't move, he continued his act. It may be a janitor position, but it's better than starving. Don't let your pride get the best of you. I pushed past him. Excuse me, I said coldly. You're in my way. Leo cried out as if I'd hurt him, then looked at Rose with a wounded expression. Rose, I was only trying to help him. Why would he do that to me? Rose shot me a look that could kill. Mike, stop right there and apologize to Leo. I ignored her, found my assigned seat, and sat down. Rose's face flushed with fury. She immediately called for security. Security? How did a con artist like this get in here? Get him out. You can't just let any stray dog wander in. He's polluting the air. The security guards, not wanting to cross her, moved toward me. Just then, a sharp voice cut through the commotion from behind us. What is all this noise? This is a professional event. I turned to see Mr. Davis, the CEO of Horizon Enterprises, the company hosting the bid. Horizon was the biggest player in our industry. Everyone was here hoping to win a contract with him. A partnership with Horizon Enterprises could elevate any company's profile, potentially even launching them into the Fortune 500. For everyone in that room, a deal with Mr. Davis was the ultimate prize. Seeing Mr. Davis, the guards immediately backed off. Rose and Leo's demeanor changed in an instant, and they put on their most charming smiles to explain. Mr. Davis, we were just dealing with a bit of nuisance. We're not sure how he got in, but he's clearly here to cause trouble, and we can't have him disrupting the event. Mr. Davis looked at me. I've always preferred to keep a low profile, so I gave him a slight shake of my head. He understood immediately. Security for this event is very tight, he said sternly. If he's in this room, it's because he has an invitation. Now, that's the end of it. Anyone who causes any more trouble will be disqualified from the bidding process. With Mr. Davis having spoken, Rose and Leo had no choice but to agree. Leo shot me a hateful look and muttered under his breath, "You got lucky." I didn't waste any more time on them and went to my seat. They sat down nearby. Soon, the bidding began. As it happened, Rose and I both stood up at the same time to present our proposals to Mr. Davis, holding out our bid books in unison. Rose gave me a surprised look. "Mike, how do you have a proposal? I can't believe you actually found a job." A flicker of jealousy crossed Leo's face, but he forced a smile. "Mike, take my advice and just give up now," he said with false sincerity. "It'll save you the public embarrassment. I mean, even if you did find a job, it's probably with some tiny, no-name firm. Competing against us is like an ant trying to fight an elephant. I'm just looking out for you." Every word was a backhanded insult, meant to imply I was setting myself up for failure. I ignored him and handed my proposal to Mr. Davis. "He doesn't know his own limits," Rose scoffed. She and Leo both smirked, waiting for my inevitable humiliation. But in the next moment, Mr. Davis tossed their proposal aside without a glance and took mine. After looking it over carefully, he smiled and extended his hand. "Mr. Thompson, I'm very impressed with this proposal. It will be a pleasure working with you." I smiled and shook his hand. Rose and Leo were stunned into silence. What? Mr. Davis didn't choose us? "He chose Mike." Rose stammered. "Mike, what did you do? Why would he choose some no-name firm over a successful, growing company like ours?" "Mike, I know you wanted this contract," Leo said, his voice dripping with insinuation, "but you shouldn't have to resort to unsavory methods. It's not fair to the other bidders, and it's demeaning to you." He was shamelessly implying I had slept my way into the deal. Rose looked at me with cold disgust. "Mike, I never thought you would sink this low. I'm so disappointed in you." Suddenly, I was the subject of contemptuous stares from everyone in the room, whispers of disgusting and pathetic filling the air. I was about to defend myself when Mr. Davis slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough," he boomed. "Are you all blind fools? Have you lost your minds? Mr. Thompson is the general manager of Apex Dynamics. How dare you slander him like this?" A hush fell over the room. Rose and Leo stared at me, their eyes wide with disbelief. "What? Apex Dynamics? That's the top firm in the industry." Rose exclaimed, "How could Mike be the GM of Apex Dynamics? That's impossible. I know exactly what he's capable of, and that's not it." She pointed at me, turning to Mr. Davis. "Mr. Davis, Mike is a pathological liar. Please don't let him fool you." Leo chimed in. "That's right, Mr. Davis. You see, Mike used to work for our company, but we had to fire him for incompetence. How could someone like that get a job at Apex?" I glanced at them and laughed. "You don't believe me? Go to the company's website. Check the executive leadership page. See whose name and photo are listed under General Manager. It's a simple search. You'll see if I'm lying." Eager to prove me wrong, Rose immediately pulled out her phone and searched the website. When she saw my name and photo listed under the General Manager title, she just stared at me, her expression a complex mixture of emotions. Leo just clenched his jaw, his eyes burning with jealousy and resentment. "How is that possible? He's really the GM of Apex Dynamics," he muttered. He shot me a dirty look, then a sly smile spread across his face. "Well, Mike, even if that's true, it doesn't mean you didn't use your new position to pull some strings, does it? Mr. Davis didn't even look at our proposal before choosing you. That doesn't seem very fair to the other companies here, does it?" With just a few words, Leo had turned the crowd against me again, implying that Mr. Davis and I had some kind of backroom deal. Rose looked at me, her eyes filled with disappointment. "Mike, how could you become so manipulative, using such dirty tricks to get ahead?" Now that their own interests were at stake, the other bidders started to protest. "Yeah, this is unfair to the rest of us. It's a setup, a total sham. Why even hold a conference if you'd already decided who would win? Are you just trying to make fools of us?" I gave Leo and Rose a cold stare. "I won this contract on my own merit," I said, enunciating every word. "I have nothing to hide. As for why you didn't win, the reason is simple. Who in their right mind would partner with a company that's about to implode?" Rose looked confused. "Mike, what are you talking about?" I smiled coldly. "I'm talking about the fact that you're finished." I pulled out my phone and showed her the top news headline. "You haven't seen this? Your company is the #1 story right now, all thanks to Leo's creative accounting." "What? Creative accounting?" Rose froze for a second, then lunged forward and snatched the phone from my hand. As she read the headline, the color drained from her face, and her knuckles turned white. She handed the phone back to me, then turned to Leo, her eyes blazing with fury. "Leo," she said, her voice like ice, "what is this?" A flicker of guilt crossed his face, but he quickly composed himself. "Rose, I have no idea what this is about," he said, trying to sound innocent. His eyes immediately welled up with tears as he turned to me. "Mike, I don't know what I ever did to you to make you hate me this much. You're so desperate to ruin me that you'd plant a fake news story." At his words, Rose shot me a look of pure hatred. "Mike, you're so jealous of Leo that you'd stoop to this? You manage to sink lower and lower every time I see you." They were trying to pin it on me again, but this time I wasn't going to let them. He didn't know that I'd come prepared. I gave a cold laugh and forwarded the entire investigation file to Rose's phone. "Rose, take a good look. This is the real Leo Harris. Your company never recovered. Leo has been cooking the books, creating a complete illusion. And that money he used to cover the initial losses? He took out a series of high-interest online loans, all in your name." Rose's eyes widened in horror, her hands beginning to shake. As I spoke, the mood in the room shifted again, and all eyes turned to Rose, now filled with contempt. So much for the industry legend. It was all a lie. A company that operates like that deserves to go bankrupt. Under the weight of their stares, her face turned a deep, shameful red. "Leo, look what you've done." She seethed, turning to confront him, only to find that he was gone. Seeing that the jig was up, he had already slipped away. With nothing left to do, Rose made a hasty, humiliating exit. After that day, Rose's company went completely bankrupt, leaving her buried in debt. She and Leo had a massive fight that reportedly turned physical. Rose, the woman who could never even bring herself to criticize him, slapped him hard across the face. Leo clutched his face, his eyes red, tried to play the victim. "Rose, But her patience was gone. She had security throw him out of her office. "I never want to see you again. Get out." His father, furious, beat him soundly, officially pulled all remaining funds, and threw him out of the house, calling him a disgrace. It was only then that the truth came out. Leo was his father's illegitimate son. Everything he had done was a desperate attempt to prove his worth and earn his father's respect, but it had all backfired spectacularly. Leo tried to go back to Rose, but she wanted nothing to do with him, fired him. When I heard all this, I couldn't help but think they both got what they deserved. I thought that would finally be the end of it, but I underestimated Rose's shamelessness. She showed up at my office. One day, as I was leaving work, I saw Rose waiting for me by the entrance. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, and she tried to pull me toward her car. "Mike, you're done for the day? Let me give you a ride home." I glanced at the passenger seat and saw a bobblehead doll of Leo sitting on the dashboard. It was one of his classic moves, giving her little trinkets that she would then leave around our shared spaces, constant little reminders of their bond. A doll in the car, a new plant in the apartment. His presence had seeped into every corner of my life, a constant, unwelcome intrusion. He was like a fishbone stuck in my throat, impossible to ignore, impossible to get rid of, and endlessly irritating. In the past, seeing that doll would have sent me into a jealous rage. Now it just seemed pathetic. My voice was flat, betraying no emotion. "No thanks, I'll get a cab. That's Leo's seat, isn't it? You should save it for him." Her eyes followed my gaze to the doll on the dashboard. A look of panic crossed her face, and she quickly snatched it and threw it into a nearby trash can. She then watched my face carefully, her voice taking on a pleading tone. "Mike, I'm so sorry. That was so thoughtless of me. Don't worry, I've thrown it away. I won't let you see that kind of filth again." She reached for me, but I stepped back. Seeing that I had no intention of forgiving her, she suddenly dropped to her knees on the pavement, her eyes turning red and filling with tears. "Mike, please don't be like this. I was fooled by Leo. I had no idea what a monster he was. I'm so sorry, Mike. I was wrong. I realize now that you were the only one who ever truly cared for me. Can you please give me one more chance to make it up to you? I promise I'll love you right this time. You've already burned me once. You think I'm going to let you do it again?" "Rose, the moment you chose to throw me under the bus for him, we were over." She sobbed. "Mike, I didn't mean it. I only slandered you because I wanted you back, and I wanted to teach you a lesson. I didn't have any bad intentions." My expression was cold. "Your love is suffocating, and I can't take it anymore. Besides, you don't love me. You just want me back so I can help you pay off your debts." My words hit their mark, and she blushed with embarrassment. Before she could say anything, I walked around her and left. She hurried after me, but in her haste, she tripped and fell, scraping her knee on the pavement. She cried out in pain, looking up at me with tear-filled eyes. Mike, in the past, I would have rushed to her side, helped her up, and held her until she stopped crying. Now it just seemed like a pathetic, manipulative act. When I didn't react, she started crying even harder. Mike, I fell. Are you just going to stand there and watch? Don't you feel even a little bit sorry for me? We're broken up. We're strangers. Why would I feel sorry for you? She stared at me, searching my face for any sign of emotion. When she saw nothing but calm indifference, she finally seemed to understand that I wasn't just being stubborn. I was truly over her. It was strange. I wasn't sure when it happened, but I no longer felt anything for her, good or bad. The thought of her and Leo no longer made me angry. Looking at her now, my heart didn't stir. It was like a still, dead pond. A dull ache seemed to spread across her face, followed by a look of pure panic. She struggled to her feet and limped toward me, reaching out to grab my sleeve. Mike, I was wrong. Please, just give me one more chance. I stepped back, and her hand fell short, freezing in midair. You're not getting another chance, I said coldly. Then, I turned and walked away, not looking back at her heartbroken sobs. For the first time, she had lowered her proud head, but I had no intention of stopping for her ever again. I tried to put the whole mess behind me. A few days later, my mom called to ask when Rose and I were finally getting married, a question she'd asked at least 100 times before. It was only then that I remembered I had never told her we'd broken up. This time, I told her the truth. She was surprised, but not wanting to upset me, she didn't press the issue. The next day, however, she sent me a contact card for a young woman. Mike, honey, this is Jessica. She's 5 years younger than you, Mrs. Adams's daughter from next door. You two should talk. It's always good to make new friends, she added. Not wanting to worry her, I agreed. After I added her, I was surprised to learn that her name was Jessica Adams, and she lived in the same apartment complex as me, just in the building across the courtyard. We had a lot of the same interests and hit it off immediately. Our conversations were easy and enjoyable. Rose and I had been complete opposites. She loved spicy food. I preferred milder flavors. She hated working out, while I loved it. For years, I had been the one to compromise, so it was refreshing to meet someone I had so much in common with. I liked Jessica right away. She sent me an iMessage, asking, "Want to go for a walk?" I didn't have any other plans, so I agreed. I changed into some comfortable clothes and went downstairs, where I saw a pretty young woman looking around. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but for a second, she reminded me of Rose back in college. She had that same youthful energy. Mike, Jessica asked, walking over to me. I nodded, and we started walking, falling into an easy conversation that felt like it could go on forever. On our way back, we saw a stray cat with an injured leg. Jessica immediately knelt down, gently bandaged the wound, and then ran to a nearby convenience store to buy it some food. Watching her, so full of compassion, I felt a strange sense of déjà vu. I'd always loved cats, but Rose was a major germaphobe and hated animals, convinced they were all dirty and covered in fleas. To keep her happy, I'd long ago given up on my dream of getting a cat. Whenever I'd stop to feed a stray, she would tell me I was being a bleeding heart. She'd argue that the most humane thing to do was to let them starve, to prevent them from breeding and creating more suffering. She was always so cold and logical. And while I could see her point, I was too sentimental. I could never just stand by and watch an animal starve. Looking back, it was clear we were just fundamentally incompatible. We never should have been together in the first place. Jessica, unable to bear the thought of leaving the poor cat, suggested we adopt it. Mike, I want to take this cat in, but I'm allergic to cats. Could we possibly keep it at your place? Don't worry, I'll pay for all its food and expenses, she quickly added. I smiled. That's perfect. I love cats, so we can definitely keep him at my place. But we'll split the costs. We can raise him together. We walked for another half hour, and then, holding the cat, we started to head back. Suddenly, I heard the familiar click of high heels on the pavement behind me. I turned to see Rose, whom I hadn't seen in weeks, standing there with red, swollen eyes, staring at Jessica and me. Mike, she said, her voice hoarse, her eyes locked on mine. Jessica, sensing the tension, gave a polite nod and headed back to her building with the cat. No questions asked. I watched as Rose walked slowly toward me. Who is she? Is she your girlfriend? Mike, answer me. And why did you change your lock? I tried my birthday and our anniversary. Neither of them worked. After she'd broken into my apartment, I'd replaced the lock with a keypad. The code was my birthday. She had tried every date that was significant to her, but had never once thought to try mine. Is there something you need? I asked, ignoring her questions. She looked at me with pathetic, pleading eyes. I missed you. I haven't been able to sleep. I've cut all ties with Leo. Can we please start over? To prove it, she showed me her phone, scrolling through her contacts and social media to show that he was gone. Her eyes were filled with a desperate longing. Mike, it was only after I lost you that I realized I can't live without you. My company is bankrupt, and I'm drowning in debt. I guess I got what I deserved. Don't worry. I'll pay off the debts myself. I won't be a burden on you. I just want a chance to make things right. I don't need that, I said coldly. I'm doing great. I have a thriving career and a peaceful personal life. I'm much happier than I was before. Rose grew desperate. Is it because of that girl? She's not right for you, Mike. We're the ones who were supposed to be together. She pulled a small wooden bracelet from her pocket, one with my name carved into it. Mike, do you remember this? Of course I did. It was a matching bracelet, a token of our love. Mine had her name, and hers had mine. We had gotten them from a temple on a trip, a special blessing for our relationship. We had exchanged them under an old oak tree, promising we'd be together forever. A promise we failed to keep. Maybe it was an omen. The week Leo started at the company, my bracelet had snapped. I'd rushed back to that same temple, begging the monk to repair it, thinking that if the bracelet was fixed, our relationship would be too. How naive I had been. A broken thing can never be truly whole again, and a spoiled relationship can never go back to the way it was. I came back to the present and reached out, taking the bracelet from her. A look of joyous relief washed over her face. Mike, I knew you still loved me. She began, her voice filled with excitement. Before she could finish, I tossed the bracelet into a nearby trash can. She stood frozen for a second, then scrambled toward the bin like a woman possessed. The woman who was a notorious germaphobe was now digging through garbage. After a moment, she found the bracelet and clutched it to her chest. Her voice shook as she looked at me. Mike, this was our promise. It symbolized our love. How could you just throw it away? My expression was blank. A bracelet that doesn't fit should have been thrown out long ago. That goes for the bracelet and for the person. I don't want to get back together, Rose. Just let it go. But she grew frantic, her words tumbling out in a rush. Why? Mike, I don't believe you can just let me go like this. Nothing ever happened with Leo, and I've admitted I was wrong. If you'd just been a little, we could go back to how things were. Why are you being so stubborn? I didn't say a word. She burst into tears, grabbing my hand and pleading. Mike, please don't do this. Do you think I'm lying? We can go right now to City Hall. We can wait until it opens and get our license first thing in the morning. Okay, please. I had lost all my patience. I pulled my hand away. That's enough, Rose. Let's just end this gracefully. If you keep this up, you're only going to make me resent you. With that, I left her there and I went up to my apartment. Rose waited downstairs all night. I couldn't sleep either. The next day, Jessica invited me to a movie, hoping to cheer me up. We had just taken our seats when I realized Rose was sitting in the seat right next to me. Mike, what a coincidence, she said with a nervous smile. I frowned. Was she tracking me now? The thought repulsed me. Was I not clear yesterday? I said coldly, we are not getting back together, but I want to win you back. Don't forget, Mike, I was the one who pursued you first. It was true. In college, when others picked on me, she was the one who stood up for me. She started signing up for all the same classes, always sitting next to me, striking up conversations, asking me to hang out. I turned her down the first few times, but her persistence eventually won me over. She wasn't the cold, calculating woman she was now. She was vibrant and full of life, and I fell for her completely. But that feeling had faded long ago. The situation felt so familiar, but the people involved were completely different. While I was lost in thought, Rose stood in front of me, holding out a carton of milk. Mike, I bought you some milk. I remember you love it as much as I do. I looked at her calmly, a cold, humorless laugh bubbling up inside me. She had no idea that I'd never liked milk. In fact, I was mildly lactose intolerant. I only ever ordered it at the movies because she had gone through a phase where she was obsessed with some online diet trend and had sworn off her favorite drink to lose weight. I felt bad for her, so I started ordering it, pretending it was for me. Then I make some excuse about being too full and give it to her so it wouldn't go to waste. I loved her, so I memorized her every like and dislike. But after 6 years together, she didn't even know I couldn't drink milk. I pushed the carton away. I'm lactose intolerant, I said coldly. I can't drink that. Her hand froze, and a look of embarrassment flashed across her face. After a moment of awkward silence, she looked over at Jessica. Excuse me, would you mind switching seats with me? I like to sit with Mike. I was just marveling at her audacity when Jessica linked her arm through mine. Sorry, she said sweetly. I can't do that. I want to sit next to my boyfriend. Her words stunned both me and Rose into silence. I looked at Jessica, surprised, but when I saw the playful glint in her eye, I understood. She was just trying to help me out, so I played along. Rose, however, was shaken. What, boyfriend? She stammered, looking at me in shock. Mike, what is she talking about? Are you seeing someone? I had been looking for a way to get her to back off, so I took Jessica's hand and went along with the act. Is there a problem? I asked. Let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend, Jessica. Rose's face went pale, her lips trembling. No, I don't believe you. You're lying. You love me too much. You would never be with another woman. Suddenly, a look of realization dawned on her face, and she smirked as if she had it all figured out. I get it. She's an actress, isn't she? You hired her to make me jealous. You're still mad at me, so you hired someone to pretend to be your girlfriend just to get a reaction out of me. All right, the joke's over. I know I was wrong, and I've apologized. Just forgive me and come home. I promise, from now on, I'll listen to you. Whatever you say goes. Okay. I ignored her and turned my attention back to Jessica, putting my arm around her. Excuse me, I said. You're interrupting our date. Jessica leaned her head on my shoulder and smiled sweetly at Rose. Actually, Mike and I have decided to get engaged. You should come to the wedding. That one sentence was the final straw. As the movie started, Rose shot to her feet, pointed a shaking finger at me, and cried, Mike, I'm your fiancé. You promised you would never marry anyone but me. You said you would only love me for the rest of your life. How can you go back on your word and be with another woman right in front of me? And you're going to get engaged to her? No, I won't allow it. Her possessiveness was laughable. Rose, let's be clear. You're my ex-girlfriend. You have no right to allow or disallow anything I do. Besides, when we were together, weren't you constantly all over Leo right in front of me? And if I said anything about it, you'd call me petty and jealous and tell me I what? So it's okay for you to be all over Leo, but I can't be close to Rose? Especially since we're actually dating. Don't be such a hypocrite. My retort made Sophia tremble with rage, the color draining from her face. It turned a sickly, bruised color, like a spilled tray of watercolors. You belong to me, and I forbid you from being with anyone else. Sophia shrieked, lunging forward to pull us apart. But Rose simply held out a hand and pushed her aside. Ma'am, this obsessive clinging makes you look like a crazy person. It's really ugly. Make is my man now. Who told you to break his heart and not cherish him? But don't worry, from now on, I'll love him for you. Sophia's fury ignited, and she shot Rose a venomous glare. This is between us, and it's none of your business. Who do you think you are? You're just the other woman who ruined our relationship. You homewrecker, this is all your fault. If it weren't for you, Make would never treat me this way. What have you done to him? What kind of spell have you put on him? I'm going to scratch your face up and see how you entice anyone then. With that, Sophia lunged, her hand reaching for Rose's face. Just as her sharp nails were about to tear into Rose's skin, I jumped in front, shielding Rose with my body and taking the full force of the attack myself. 3 bloody lines appeared on my cheek, blood trickling down. Sophia froze, pulling her hand back instantly. She stood there, completely lost, a panicked look on her face. Make, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Rose quickly pulled out a tissue and began to gently dab at the wound, her eyes filled with concern. Make, why would you do that? You're an idiot. The second Rose spoke, Sophia's head snapped toward her, her gaze a death stare as she redirected all her rage. This is all your fault, you witch. If it weren't for you, my Make wouldn't be hurt. Why don't you just drop dead? Sophia looked like a cornered animal, her eyes bloodshot as she lunged at Rose again. But I stepped between them and, raising my hand, slapped her hard across the face. Sophia, have you had enough? The sharp crack of the slap echoed in the theater, and a bright red handprint immediately bloomed on her cheek. She clutched her face, staring at me in disbelief as her eyes welled up with tears, her voice thick with hurt. Makey, you hit me. You hit me for this homewrecker? You've changed. You were never like this before. In the past, you couldn't even bring yourself to say a harsh word to me. It was true. In the past, I would have done anything for Sophia. I remember how my heart ached when she fainted from heat stroke, and I stayed by her side, nursing her back to health. It was because I spoiled her so completely that she became the person she is today. I looked at Sophia coldly, speaking each word with deliberation. Yes, I've changed. I've changed into someone who doesn't love you anymore. But Sophia, you're the one who made me this way, aren't you? The part of me that loved Sophia more than anything died a long time ago, killed by the countless times she chose Leo over me, by the endless ways she hurt me. My love for her was eroded away by one betrayal after another. Now, looking at Sophia, I felt no patience, none of my old tenderness, only a profound sense of irritation. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. I turned to Rose, my expression softening as I asked with concern, "Are you okay? Did she hurt you?" Rose shook her head, then reached out and gently traced the scratches on my cheek, her face full of sympathy. I'm fine, but that must really hurt, right? I managed a small smile. I'm tough. It's nothing serious. I'm just glad she didn't get your face, I added. If you were disfigured because of me, I'd never forgive myself. Rose's face immediately flushed a deep red, a blush creeping up to the tips of her ears. Seeing Rose and me sharing a moment, Sophia, who had been completely ignored, glared at us. Make, your kindness belongs to me. I won't let you be gentle with any other woman. With that, she started screaming and charged at us again, trying to tear us apart. Her constant outbursts had finally pushed the other people in the theater too far. Having witnessed the entire drama and been disturbed by her shouting, they could no longer hold back and started to complain loudly. Hey, get a rest. The guy obviously has a girlfriend now. Just let it go. Why do you have to keep harassing him? Exactly. She's acting like a lunatic. She's nothing compared to his new girlfriend, and she has the nerve to call her a homewrecker. If I were him, I'd be sick of her too. She's so clingy, like something you can't scrape off your shoe. It's terrifying. The murmurs of discontent grew louder, quickly attracting the attention of the theater staff. To avoid disrupting the movie for everyone else, an usher came over and firmly escorted Sophia out. Once the theater was quiet again, I turned to Rose beside me and said softly, "Rose, thank you for what you did back there." She gave me a small smile. "It was nothing. Actually, I should be thanking you. You saved me. And since you saved my life, I have no way to repay you, except..." As she spoke, Rose leaned in close, her warm breath brushing against my cheek. A jolt went through me, and my heart started pounding in my chest. I quickly changed the subject. "Well, since we both helped each other, let's just call it even." "Nope," she said, her eyes sparkling like a fawn's. "To thank you properly, you have to come over to my place after the movie." To her place? My heart leaped into my throat. This felt like it was moving a little too fast. As I tried to figure out a polite way to decline, Rose broke into a playful grin, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "What are you thinking about? I want you to come over to pick up my cat. My cat allergy has gotten pretty bad, so I can't keep him anymore." It was only then that I noticed the faint red rash on her neck. I quickly agreed, and even ordered some allergy medication to be delivered for her. After the movie, I went to Rose's apartment to pick up the cat. "Rose, if you ever miss him, you can come visit my place anytime. You're his mom, after all. You're always welcome. Then I'm counting on you to take good care of him, Kitty Daddy." Rose's smile was incredibly sweet, and her eyes were full of affection as she looked at me. I could feel my ears burning under her gaze, and a strange, warm feeling blossomed in my chest. Before things could get out of hand, I quickly said my goodbyes and practically fled from her apartment. Just as I was leaving, I thought I heard Rose chuckle softly and murmur, "So cute." I had just managed to calm my racing heart as I stepped out of her building, only to see Sophia standing by the entrance, her eyes red and swollen from crying. When she saw me, a fresh wave of anger and hurt washed over her face, and her voice was thick with tears. "Make, isn't she just an actress you hired? Why are you coming out of her apartment? Don't tell me you too. Make, say something." I tried to ignore her, but Sophia grabbed my arm, holding on tight. "Make, I thought I was the one who was wrong, but it turns out you're the one who cheated. I'm your fiancé. I even bought a diamond ring. I was going to propose to you. How could you do this to me?" Immediately, passers-by started to stare, their faces full of judgment. They automatically assumed I was the villain, muttering about how I was a heartless, cheating scumbag. Wow, what a piece of work. He has a fiancée, and he's still messing around with other women. What a dog. He's a total player. Guys who cheat like that deserve the worst. I feel so bad for that poor girl. She gave her heart to a total jerk. As people condemned me, Sophia just stood there and watched, making no move to stop them. It was obvious she was enjoying it, letting them vent her anger for her. Sophia claimed to love me, but this was the reality of it. I knew exactly what she was doing. She was waiting for me to apologize and comfort her, just like I always used to. Too bad for her, I wasn't the same pushover she could manipulate anymore. I stared at Sophia, my expression cold as ice. "Sophia, let's be clear about one thing. You were the one who was unfaithful, not me. So stop playing the victim. We're broken up, and you have no right to tell me what to do. Make, don't you feel any guilt at all? How can you be so cruel?" Sophia demanded, her eyes finally brimming with tears. I was done with this. If you're just going to say the same pointless things over and over, I don't want to waste my time listening. "Sophia, there are plenty of other guys out there. With all this time you're wasting, you could go find Leo. He's perfect for you." At that, Sophia started crying even harder, tears streaming down her face. "Make, you know I love you. I have no romantic feelings for Leo. I've explained that to you 1,000 times. Why can't you let it go? Are you really going to throw away our 6 years together, just like that? Sophia always insisted there was nothing romantic between her and Leo. But every single time he was upset, her heart would ache for him. That kind of reaction is something you have for a partner. That sympathy is where love starts. Besides, if she truly cared about our 6 years together, there never would have been a Leo in the first place. Our relationship didn't end just because of him. It ended because of Sophia's indifference and how little she cared. Even if it hadn't been Leo, sooner or later, it would have been someone else. I didn't want to waste any more breath on this. I pushed past Sophia and started to walk away. Wait. Sophia rushed in front of me, and before I could react, she grabbed my hand and forced the diamond ring onto my finger. I felt a sharp pinch. A second later, the ring was stuck fast. I looked down at the ring, which was clearly a full size too small, and could only laugh at the irony. How pathetic. Sophia claimed she had this ring specially chosen just for me, yet it didn't even fit. If I remember correctly, this was Leo's exact ring size. She had subconsciously bought a ring that would fit Leo. The difference between who you love and who you don't is painfully obvious. The air grew thick with an awkward silence, and a flicker of embarrassment crossed Sophia's face. The crowd of onlookers immediately changed their tune, their criticism now aimed at her. How do you get the ring size wrong when you're proposing? No wonder the guy said no. I wouldn't accept either. It shows how little she cares. Who would want that? I managed to pull the ring off and tossed it back to Sophia. This is Leo's size, isn't it? Looks like he needs it more than I do. You should give it to him. She scrambled to catch it and hurried after me. I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I can have a new one custom made for you. Don't go. I'll do anything. Just forgive me. I stopped walking and turned to her, my voice ice. Anything? Then do me a favor. Stop harassing me and disappear from my life completely. With tears in her eyes, Sophia just shook her head. Don't be so cruel. That's the one thing I can't do. She started to step toward me, still crying, and I finally reached my limit. I pulled out my phone and held it up as if to dial 911. Your constant stalking these past few days has seriously disrupted my life. If you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police. Sophia, can't we just end this peacefully? Don't make me hate you. Seeing that I was serious, the light went out of Sophia's eyes. She slowly let go of my arm and choked out. No, I'll go. I'm going. Just please don't hate me. Fat tears rolled down her cheeks as she turned and ran away, sobbing. I don't know if my words finally got through to her, but for a long time after that day, Sophia didn't bother me again. I made a point of avoiding her, and in that time, Rose and I grew closer and closer. Before long, we both knew how we felt about each other and officially started dating. Rose said one day, I want to be this cat's mom forever. Are you willing to be his dad forever? I was a little confused. I thought I already was his dad. Seeing that I wasn't getting it, Rose's face flushed and she puffed out her cheeks in frustration. How can you be so dense? Do you really need me to spell out for you? Seeing she was about to get genuinely annoyed, I stopped teasing her and pulled her in my arms. Okay, I'm not teasing. Yes, I'm willing, I said softly. Rose, let me be the one to say it. I'm falling for you. Let's be together. The day we made it official, Rose was as happy as a little kid, wanting to shout it from the rooftops. She posted pictures of us on all her social media accounts, complete with a caption making it official. We're together. It made me think back to my time with Sophia. She always said she was afraid going public would hurt her career, that the world was unfair to women, and that once you weren't seen as a single, childless woman, you lost your competitive edge. So, to protect her career, she kept our 6-year relationship a complete secret. Thinking about that, I buried my face in the crook of Rose's neck and asked, Rose, are you sure you're okay with announcing this so publicly? Won't it affect your job? Isn't it true that in the corporate world, being single and without kids gives women the biggest advantage? Rose just flicked me on the forehead and said with a playful pout, Silly, of course you're more important to me. Besides, what really matters at work is talent and skill. I'm good at what I do, so I'm not afraid of that. Only people who aren't confident in their own abilities believe that nonsense. Hearing her say that sent a wave of warmth through my entire body. I felt a sting in my nose, and all the hurt from the past years made me pull Rose into a tight embrace. Rose, I'm so happy I'm with you. Not long after that, I took Rose back to my hometown and proudly introduced her to my mom. When my mom saw us together, her face lit up with joy, and she nodded in satisfaction. Wonderful, just wonderful. Rose is a good girl, You better not mistreat her. Rose was incredibly polite, engaging with everything my mom said, and smiling warmly the entire time. When my mom started cooking, she jumped right in to help. It made me think of the first time I brought Sophia home. The moment she saw our old, modest house, Sophia's expression soured. You could see the disdain in her every gesture. While my mom cooked, she made no move to help, just stood there watching with a look of disapproval. Later, when my mom was overwhelmed, she asked Sophia to help bring a dish to the table. Sophia recoiled in disgust from my mom's hands, which were stained from cooking. After setting the dish down, she rushed to the sink and scrubbed her hands with soap at least 10 times. Another time, my mom came to visit us in the city, bringing local specialties from home. She'd even remembered Sophia mentioning her irregular periods and brought some herbal remedies to help. But Sophia treated my mom with contempt for being from a small town, acting as if her presence was dirtying our apartment, and refusing to even look at her pleasantal. She made my mom wear disposable covers over her shoes and forbade her from touching anything. Even the herbs, which my mom had gone to great trouble to gather for her from the mountains, were thrown straight into the trash the moment my mom left. Who even uses herbal medicine anymore? You just take pills for that, she had said. It's just as I thought. People from the country are so superstitious and ignorant. We had a massive fight over it, and it was only because my mom stepped in and smoothed things over that we reconciled. My mom could tell Sophia didn't like her. So after that visit, she never came to the city to see me again, not wanting to upset Sophia or cause more friction between us. And I was always so busy with work that I never had the time to go back home to see her. Looking back, I realized what a terrible son I was. I hurt my own mother for the sake of a woman who didn't deserve it. Thankfully, it's not too late. I still have a chance to make things right. I walked into the kitchen to help with dinner. When I got there, I saw my mom and Rose laughing together. Rose had said something that made my mom laugh so hard she could barely breathe. A deep warmth spread through my chest. So this is what it feels like to be with the right person. Maybe this is what happiness looks like. My mom was completely charmed by Rose. After dinner, she went and got our family's heirloom, a jade bracelet, and gave it directly to her. Rose, this is a family heirloom, and now I'm giving it to you, my mom said. Thank you so much, Rose replied. But just as my mom was about to slip the bracelet onto Rose's wrist, a sharp voice yelled from the doorway. You can't. That bracelet is mine. I looked toward the door, and sure enough, it was Sophia. I scowled. She had been quiet lately, and I'd started to think she had finally given up. I should have known she wouldn't disappear so easily. What are you doing here? Before Sophia could even answer, my mom's face had gone cold. Why are you here again? Stop trying to get on my good side. I will never approve of you and make being together. Besides, he and Rose are very happy now, so stop trying to ruin things for them. I quickly turned to my mom. Mom, what do you mean? Has Sophia been bothering you this whole time, before we came to visit? My mom nodded grimly. She's been coming by constantly with gifts, trying to get me to put in a good word for her and convince you to get back together. I've sent her away every single time, but I guess she just won't give up. I can't believe she has the nerve to show up again. So that explained why Sophia had been so quiet. When she realized she couldn't get to me, she started harassing my mother instead. While I was processing this, Sophia rushed between us, her hand shooting out to grab the jade bracelet. That's mine. You told me yourself that I was the only daughter-in-law you would ever accept. My mom had offered her the bracelet once before, but Sophia had rejected it, saying the style was old-fashioned. Now, even if she wanted it, it was no longer hers to have. My mom shoved Sophia aside and swiftly slid the bracelet onto Rose's wrist. Now, Rose is my daughter-in-law, my mom declared. You hurt my son, and I will never forgive you for that. Now, get out. I don't want to see your face again. Sophia's eyes reddened, and she opened her mouth to argue. But my mom had already grabbed a broom and was chasing her out the door. 3 months later, Rose and I stood at the altar. Sophia was there that day, too. On the stage, Rose and I said our vows, exchanged rings, and shared a loving kiss. In the audience, our friends and family cheered, but Sophia just sat there, her eyes red from crying. Her lips moved, and I could clearly make out the words she was mouthing. I'm sorry, and I wish you happiness. In that moment, Sophia knew it was truly over between us. She got up and left, looking utterly defeated. That same night, the news broke that Sophia had killed Leo. I heard that after leaving our wedding, she blamed him for all of her misery, and in a fit of rage, she ran him down with her car, driving over him again and again. Then, seeing no hope left in her own life, she floored the gas pedal and drove straight off a cliff, her body smashed to pieces on the rocks below. When I heard the news of their deaths, I was on my honeymoon with Rose. I felt a brief moment of shock, but then I put it out of my mind. 5 years passed. I started my own company, moved my mom into the city with us, and Rose gave birth to fraternal twins, a boy and a girl. Our family of 5 lived a happy, wonderful life. The rest of my life is short, and I just want to cherish every single day.